Hello all and welcome to round 3 of the All Hands on Deck Community Tournament Grand Finale here. 1-800 managed to secure their last game in a very incredible match here, bringing the score to 1-1. We're on Yukon here for our tiebreaker. 1-800 has gone back to ANS. They are Duke of Stars, Black Bat, Scrubbus, and Flynn. Meanwhile, LIMOS is back on OSP. We have Hunter, Herman, Xenophon, and Snipes. Very fitting that we're on Yukon, considering that these two teams had a match last night where they also played on Yukon on the new competitive server that exists. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how the teams vary their strategies from that game. That game was not recorded, so I will cease talking about it now. Anyway, let's see where the teams are deploying here. Looks like we have some very heavy ANS presence up here at C. Oh, wow, we're already ready to go. Okay, both teams locking in their deployment very quickly here. I see the same Acello that LIMOS brought during their first game here. Maybe a similar strategy for them. We will see. Alrighty, let's go over the teams really quick. Black Bat, to no one's surprise, is bringing the carrier. We have two levies here. All Tontos, nothing else. Duke of Stars running the Voxel half-cap fleet we saw in the first round. Put the Voxels low underneath this dividing wall here. Empty cap assets around the map here. Flynn has the double CL. They're going for the E-poke. Look at that. Love to see it. And Scrubbus, is this Big Milk? It's Big Milk! The return of Big Milk. It wouldn't be a finale without Scrubbus running Big Milk. We will see how that works for them. Let's take a look at what OSP brought here. Herman running the same double Acello build we saw out of the first one. Once again, escorting Xenophon's monitor ball here. Very, very excellent strategies from them. And it would look like, yeah, it would look like everyone on LIMOS is running the same fleets they did the first round here. Hunter running this very, very successful cap fleet here. They did very well with this the first one. We're able to back cap several points. We have a Rail Cello, a very cheap 250 100 liner here. 4 meat tugs and 2 gun shuttle cappers. And Snipes is running the fleet carrier. I'm assuming it's all Barracudas. Yep, it is all Barracudas. As you would expect, why would it be anything different? Both teams securing their naturals of B and D here. E and C will be capped momentarily here. Flynn is rushing their Voxels onto the E point here, going wide, trying to detect the ships moving onto the point here. There is a gun shuttle and a meat tug. The shuttle already pinged on burn through. Looks like Hunter is putting their liner in position to maybe try and deny the E-poke here. Although 250 100 on this liner, these Voxels should be able to outgun it considering how cheaply built this thing is. Not a whole lot of buff modules on this thing at all. ANS manages to get B first. C point and E point being capped simultaneously. D point going into the hands of OSP here by one of Hunter's meat ships. Is the E-poke happening? It is! RPF going out onto this capper shuttle here. It is already majorly messed up. This DC team is hanging out in the reactor. This thing is going to die, like, instantaneously here. The DC team still alive. Still at 5 members. That's actually pretty impressive. E point is gonna the meat tug is veering off the cap here. Is it gonna go for the cap or is it gonna back off? RPF now going into the meat tug here. Did the shuttle drift off the point? Oh no, the shuttle drifted off the point. Flynn diverting fire to the meat tug here, which jumps on the point to try and cap it. Although this thing has no damage control teams. The Rapid DC Locker team getting killed instantaneously by the RPF. All Flynn has to do is read out like the basic CIC or one of the aux steerings, and this thing is toast. What's happening on the rest of the map? It looks like the monitors are pushing into the C point here over the top by A, getting into a position to both deny A and potentially push onto C if needed. The tug goes down on E point here. The E-poke works. Flynn is able to just completely deny the cap here from OSP, and that's gotta hurt. The liner backing off from E, recognizing that it can't outgun those Voxels. It is leaving the point entirely. Duke under the map, putting RPF into this other gun tug here, denying the A point here. Very impressive play from these Voxels, getting themselves into very aggressive frontline positions, able to just completely obliterate Hunter's capper assets here. Meanwhile, Arbiter Squadron with coil guns jumps onto Goblin Squadron. Goblin Squadron takes heavy losses. This was a rocket strike, potentially out on the C-cap. Although Dagger Squadron also has R1 rockets, looks like it's going to try and destroy this capper before it gets into cover here. Although Duke is... Oh, looks like... I'm assuming Goblin got a successful strike on this ship, and that's what happened. Arbiter taking grape shot fire. They should be on evade. They should be getting out of there. Rocket strike goes into this still healthy empty capper here. Strive takes massive firepower. Looks like it managed to drive tank that pretty effectively here. The damage control team still very healthy. Dagger Squadron jumps Arbiter here, although they are flying into range of the point defense fields of Big Milk here. Will those defenders be enough to destroy Dagger? One down. SDM's launched at close range against Dagger here. Scrubbus wanting to protect their one asset at all costs. Beam goes out, trying to destroy the ships with the beam, as Dagger is just going to get picked apart here. Sunder Squadron hanging out low on the map here. These are SAR H strikes, potentially hunting for light assets around the E point here. Flynn backs off from the E point here. Typically the smart move. Flynn is just going to wait until the ships get back onto the E point to deny them. D is trying to be capped by this meat tug here, but Big Milk is in the area, able to just core this thing out instantaneously. Hunter is bleeding cap assets really quickly here early into the match, as several cap attempts have just been completely foiled. A&S off to a very good start here. Bastion Squadron hunting down the remains of Dagger here. Dagger on high burn out of there. Oh no! The cap asset on E detonates! No, that was the meat tug. Detonating onto the capper, the other capper on E, killing all of it. E is now completely open. There is nothing that OSP has to cap it. There's also nothing to deny it. If Flynn was still over here, he could just take the point for free. The liner moving up to C here, maybe trying to get onto the point, although Big Milk in the area. Hunter potentially thinking that it's only a beamstone guarding the C point here, moving this very powerful asset in position. Big Milk should be more than a match for this single liner, though, if this liner does commit to the C poke. The miners rushing down B point. These things are being incredibly aggressive. ANS mostly just ignoring these things. Reactor Bloom from this meat tug here. Dragoon Squadron starts taking additional SDMs from the Voxels down low. RPF fire also going into Dragoon Squadron, trying to protect the A-cap here, although it still does take rockets. Will it survive? No, just barely doesn't. A-cap is denied, but Dragoon loses all of their craft to deny it. Duke honestly should have no problems just taking their Voxels onto the A point here. The liner pushing onto C is in no position to deny A. The monitors not really in a position to deny it either. Nope, never mind. They are re-pivoting over to deny the A, recognizing that there are Voxels under the map they need to deal with. They have detached a single monitor to secure B here, as well as a cap shuttle in the back. Duke repositioning the Voxels here, maybe trying to look out for the back cappers. Duke does have this really exposed cap asset here that's just going to get picked apart by, yeah. Hunter, however, making themselves apparent that they're here by firing at the capper here. If anyone on ANS is paying attention, they fully know that there are ships here. Sunder Squadron gets an S1 SAR H strike out against this liner here. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it does dissuade this thing from stepping onto the C point here. Big Milk still in a relatively good... Big Milk is flanking! Big Milk knows that there's a liner here. Flanking around, it is completely unspotted. Bastion has chased Dagger Squadron out of the map entirely. Very silly. Anyway, the Acellos start putting fire onto the Voxels here. The Voxels realizing that they do not want to take this fight, immediately rushing back. They are out of range to return fire on this Acello here. They need to get into cover to not be destroyed by this thing. Although, that being said, look at this. The monitors starting to kind of split. No, not really split up. This Acello did move out of range of the Acello, of the monitors, but there is still another one in the area. Big Milk pushing up and over by the looks of it, maybe trying to get a missile sight onto these monitors here. If Big Milk can core these monitors, it's going to open up the entire map for ANS here. Flynn is removing back onto the E point, recognizing that since nothing tried to recap this point, there's likely nothing there to stop him from just taking it. B point is being secured by this shuttle here. Does Black Bat have anything to stop that? Not by the looks of it. There are no craft in the area to really defend that. Bastion Squadron is a air superiority squadron potentially rushing into the back here, maybe looking to find these massive squadrons that ANS has camped back here by sea. Are the Voxels going for A?
The enemy is securing
No, they're staying low. The monitors and Acellos are out of position to really do anything about A. Although that being said, Duke is starting to lose some of these really light, very cheap cap assets, though. Bastion finally finds Dagger in the void where my camera can't even pan closer to them. This is as far as my camera can pan onto them, by the way. They are a full 15 kilometers outside of the map. Very, very interesting move. E point being secured by ANS here as they take the enemy natural. Nothing there to stop it. Duke's Voxels moving on to the D point here. There is nothing to stop them from taking it. The Acellos might be able to get some fire into them, but I don't think they're going to be able to stop them from capping it. These things are moving on to B. Big Milk about to round the corner here. Is it in detection range of the fleet carrier? That's about 9 kilometers. Does this thing have a parallax? Big Milk might spot the fleet carrier. Oh no. It might just be barely in range. Beam goes out into the liner that's rushing onto the C point here. The fleet carrier gets spotted by Big Milk. This could be massive for ANS here. The SAR HS1 strike also finds yeah, they land. That is a structure-broken liner. This is a very useful asset to lose. Ballista Squadron, 28 strong, jumps the SAR H attacking fleet, though. Dagger, Falcon does its best to help, but only 6 of them. It's not going to be a lot. SDMs go out. HEKP out on the liner, looking to finish it. Are these going to rock PD? Looks like these are going to... Oof. Those are very expensive missiles to rock PD. Yeah, the liner using its superior speed to get behind cover. We have a massive dogfight emerging over here by Big Milk here. Big Milk doing its best, helping with its SDMs as best as possible. Although that is 27 craft from OSP here on the C point here. More missiles being programmed. Potentially, are these things going out against the rail ship? Potentially. We will see where those missiles are going. The dogfight here developing as Jacqueline Ruby move to reinforce. The Voxels they're not spotted yet, although the monitors and Acellos on the top of the ridge here are moving back to help. I think those were just more SDMs from Scrubbus. Ballista Squadron here only loses like a single craft in that massive engagement. Very impressive. Although these are HEKP command missiles out on this poor bow-on rail cello with no defenses. This thing is going to get obliterated. 2 missiles, takes it out. The rail cello is no more. Big Milk doing its best to try and maintain within point defense range of this massive strike here. Although, uh-oh. This is a hell-bombing strike out against Scrubbus. Does Scrubbus have any SDMs left? No, they do not. This could be very bad for ANS if that strike goes through on Big Milk. Big Milk has expended very little of its missiles. Vampire Squadron, yep, going in with the R1 strike. They will be followed up by the bombs. As those bombs come in, will Big Milk be able to dodge that? No, the bombs come in too close. Big Milk is now no more. A very unfortunate loss for ANS here. That is a very expensive asset to lose. The voxels on D still unspotted. The monitors and Acellos appear to just be hanging out here, maybe moving closer to C. The liner, recognizing that there's now nothing to deny the C point here, slowly moving on to the point. There's nothing to protect the carriers in the backline here if OSP just pushes. One of the other cappers moving into the A point here, as the voxels potentially moving on to D. Flynn is still hunting in the back, maybe trying to find the fleet carrier that OSP has, although by now it has moved up into the front line here, looking to stay protected, recognizing that Flynn did cap the E point, and it was likely moving up behind them. This is still anyone's game. B point firmly capped by OSP here. Nothing ANS has that can retake that. The carriers on the edge of the map here. C point being secured by what's left of Hunter's liner here. Without Big Milk to put missiles into those monitors and Acellos, that is a very devastating loss for ANS here, as Big Milk is going to just explode onto the point here. HE-shaped container going into this capper here. Perhaps Hunter thinking that it's still alive, looking to finish it off. Strife Squadron is a bombing squadron going out onto this capper on A. The capper is already under fire from the monitors, and I do believe Strife will be able to finish this thing off. Nope, it gets finished off by the monitors. Never mind. A point being denied. C point being, yep, capped by OSP here. Flynn's voxels moving up back to the C point here, maybe looking to recap it and defend it. The monitors and the front line moving on to the A point here, leaving D open, except for one Acello. One of them is still paying attention. Although that being said, Duke is firing on its belly. If Duke can probably commit to, might be able to just commit to this. Although it looks like they're moving back, this could be bad for Duke. If Duke rounds this corner at close range to the monitors, they're just going to get torn apart. D point being capped by the escort of Duke's voxels here. The voxels putting fire into this Acello here, trying to stop it from running down onto the point. That Acello is not going to be able to deny the D point, although it will be able to recap it once the ship is killed. Ballista is a air superiority wing heading towards the carriers, looking to deplane them. Very, very aggressive plays from Snipes here, just forwarding this entire squadron onto the carriers. Lots of S1s and anti-craft missiles go out from Knight and Duster Squadron, looking to break up Ballista, although Ballista has massive numbers behind them, and I don't think that Black Mat has the craft that they need to really dislodge that. A point is going to get secured by OSP here. Duke's voxels entering a close-range engagement with the ships on A. Not where you want to be, although the rest of the monitors are still pretty far back. They might be able to pick off this this monitor here and move on. Still firing RPF into it. The Acellos are pushing forward against these voxels here. These voxels need to open the range or they're just going to get torn apart. Ballista Squadron still going strong here. The amount of craft they have is just completely overwhelming for Black to deal with. Their carriers are spotted. Missiles out from Flynn, looking to support the A attack here. They get a crossfire on this Acello here, putting fire into its broadside. They're firing HE. Will these missiles get through? This ship has a lot of Auroras on it, although this jamming support, the missiles do have jamming support. Looks like the Auroras will clean the missiles up, though. Looks like the engagement has started at A. One of the voxels, pretty expectedly, is already torn up here, being so close to all that front line. Meanwhile, Flynn is trying their best to help out by putting fire into the broadside of this Acello, but it's not a whole lot of damage. Ballista Squadron is now on top of the fleet carriers, or the carriers on ANS here, as it looks like they're just going to get deplaned. ANS is going to run out of carrier assets here. D-point being resecured by this meat tug here. Duke unable to really do anything about that. This Cello has moved close range to this Voxel, and it's just going to chew it up with the 450. Flynn still doing their best to get crossfires onto this fleeted A, although not doing a whole lot of damage to them yet. The damage on this Cello is going to start adding up, but it's not going to be enough. There are still monitors in the area that Flynn will have to deal with. Although, just like the first match, a reactor bloom on the Cello and one of the monitors strips their armor. Flynn is definitely going to know that these things have no armor, although they are being rushed down by the rest of the monitors. Flynn needs to get out of here, is probably going to be unable to really take advantage of that massive opening that they just got. The Cello Voxel fight down here between Duke and Herman is going about as well as you'd expect for Duke. This poor... Yeah, the Redded magazine means this thing is going to be unable to fight back for the time being. Flynn has a little bit of a formation thing here as one of his Voxels collides with the escort. Flynn is no longer firing back. Can he see these things through the jamming? Yeah, he can. I don't know why he's not firing back at them. No fire orders from these Voxels at all. There it is. Fire order given. Firing at a burn-through track. The amount of jamming these ships are just putting out is just enough to keep them hidden from the Voxels. Ballista Squadron forced to turn home due to fuel. Have pretty much completely deplaned Black, though. Black still does have craft left, but has taken severe losses. These Voxels, without the support of Big Milk, are just going to be unable to do with these monitors. Yeah, that was a devastating loss for ANS, losing that missile ship. Duke losing one of their last Voxel here. Both of them severely damaged, unable to put out any weapons fire at all at the moment. One of them CIC down, and the other one just completely crippled. Flynn's getting pushed to the back of the map here. Unable to maneuver away from these monitors. The jamming that these monitors are putting out just completely removing him from being able to do much of anything at all. Snipes has put their fleet carrier on the C point. ANS with a very strong opening to this game were just unable to keep the momentum going after they lost Big Milk. Hunter's Liner starting to put fire down on the carriers. The carriers rushing into C, probably to try and retake it. Wasp Squadron is, I'm assuming, a SAR H strike. Yep, another SAR H strike, looking to finish off this liner to open up the C point for the carriers to retake. Although with the enemy fleet carrier here, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. The SAR H missiles go out. Illuminators are not fired until the last moment. Black Bat microing them very well. The missiles hit. This liner takes heavy damage from Wasp, although is still combat effective. Yeah, Duke completely, their Voxels just completely torn apart here, unable to do much of anything at all. Flynn's Voxels still alive, but completely zoned out by the monitors, unable to really do much of anything. As Snipes at this point has secured air superiority over the map after pretty much completely deplaning Black Bat. How many craft do they have left? Still, yeah, quite a lot of Barracudas left. Snipes telling me to look at Ruby Flight. Ruby Flight appears to be bugged. Not sure what's going on there. Looks like Ruby Flight is... Looks like they're hitting terrain that doesn't exist for some reason. Very peculiar. Comet Squadron loaded with a bunch of KBU bombs, looking to finish off this liner to open up the cap for the carriers. The bombs are going out from Comet. Will these be enough to K-kill? They will! The structure break kicking in as those bombs destroy the liner, finally, opening up the C point, although, yeah, the carrier is still there. Flynn just continuously spotted by these monitors here, unable to really do much of anything, completely zoned out by their jamming, unable to pin the armor on them much at all. These monitors just in a perfect position to zone out pretty much the entirety of the map from Flynn's voxels. The carriers are undetected and moving on to the C point, and with Ruby Squadron currently bugged, it looks like Snipes was able to recover some of the craft. Is preparing strikes potentially to hit the carriers and prevent them from capping the point. Comet Squadron inexplicably gets a bomb strike in onto the carrier on OSP. No idea how they managed that. Is able to kill an internal hangar and a deck gear locker, although this carrier is still completely functional. Flynn splitting up the voxels here, maybe trying to get them to different points here, recognizing that they need to do something. Scrubbus surrendering. Yep, no ships left from them. The monitors are now rushing down what's left of Flynn's voxels. Carriers do move on to the C point here. Gives ANS a tiny bit of breathing room, although they are so pushed back on every other front that I don't think it's going to be enough to really turn the narrative of this this match. Ruby Squadron is a KBU rocket strike. They probably should be able to kill these carriers here. These carriers are in pre-flight, although not being launched. These, yeah, the carriers are going too fast to launch craft. Flynn's voxels finally get caught out here. One of them is CIC down, and the other one is getting slowly dismantled by the overwhelming firepower of the monitors. Flynn just completely unable to fight back against these things with all the jamming they have. And the Cello next to them is just able to completely counter out his jamming with the better radar and illuminators. Rebel Squadron is a SAR H strike being sent potentially onto Snipes' fleet carrier, although Fulcrum Squadron is combat air patrol and will have something to say about that.
The enemy secured zone Comet.
A capper flanking around the back to D point here, although it is being held down by a meat tug. There is nothing that can kill that meat tug over here. Rebel Squadron just getting completely picked apart here by the squadrons that Snipes had. And there goes the surrender from Black Bat. Snipes is surrendered. Flynn is going to die here. Duke has one asset left. Yep, there goes the surrender from Duke. As it is now final, LIMOS is going to take home the trophy in this tournament with an excellent performance in this third match here. Able to come back from a massive disadvantage at the beginning. Very, very interesting. We are going to head to the event stage to debrief. And I will see you there.
And first I'd like to say congratulations to LIMOS for their win in the tournament. And commiserations to 1-800 who got hellbombed. You made a good showing in this finale. And it was a very close finale. If it wasn't for just that swing at the end, in that third round, that was going to be a very strong play. You had a good opener. I'd like to thank everyone all the teams, all 25 of them, that have taken all the time out of their days to play in the tournament. It means a lot to me. It took quite a lot to organize all of this, and I hope all of you enjoyed it. Yeah, besides that, I guess I'll ask the players, how do you find it?
think it was a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
all right.
That was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good matches. Thanks for fighting us, y'all. Yeah, good matches. I enjoyed that a lot.
How did you guys feel about those rounds in particular?
Whisk shoot on the second one. That was alright.
Yeah,
Do you know how much effort we spent? Like every single game that we were fighting you guys as ANS, the amount of times we're like, okay, what if Scrub isn't the leader? He might be behind this rock. We gotta go check it. He might be behind that rock. We gotta go check that.
Well,
Yeah,
I guess
it's
you
legit
fucking
just-
found me.
Just hard kill Scrubbers, GG.
the second game was the most annoying
That's a
game for
tactic.
us. Because
How did
we
the
got
Chargers
into the
do?
game and he was like, "Oh, my missiles are set to offensive," and then he told me to go high because it was safer with my levies. And then at one point, I have all my craft out in the air and I'm getting shot, and I'm like, "What the fuck? Like, what is shooting me?" Oh, it's the liners coming over the top of the map.
Yeah.
Okay, offensive STMs were definitely
STMs were a
not
mistake.
good.
Offensive
That was-
STMs are meta.
60 of them just down the drain. That was not good.
I am happy because I got a ping wolf. That's a double stock Cobalt W in the finals. So I gotta tell it.
Well,
Stock Cobalt.
Oh, Cobalt, dude.
interesting. Like OSP won every game, which I don't know.
I think
Interesting.
that is not a symptom of OSP being OP. That is a symptom of all of us being better at OSP.
That could be it.
Right? Like,
Matches-
I don't think ANS is any worse.
In all fairness, all three of them were pretty close. The first one was definitely the least close from the spectator POV, but the last two were like only really decided in the second half.
Yeah, the first one was. I think the first one we had on lock pretty much the whole time. The second one was a nail biter until the end.
Yeah.
And then the third one was. We had a bad opener, but as soon as we took the initiative, we
Right.
basically had it on
That
lock the
third
entire
one,
time.
that third one, as soon as you killed Big Milk, which was that Exford at C, like ANS just had nothing to deal with the monitors and Acellos. They could just put themselves in the middle and completely deny everything.
Yeah.
That's the point. Once Big Milk got hellbombed, that completely turned the script of that match. The second one was definitely, I believe the second one was probably from like a spectator POV, one of the better matches we've had in this tournament. It was back and forth the entire time with all the beamstones ANS had. But yeah, when Strubbs went over the map, what I noticed is that you guys like redeployed all of your beamstones to deal with it. Like you just you completely left all of their like very defensible positions, and then once you did that, they were just able to be picked off one by one.
That is exactly why, like, because I was under the impression that we had to respond to it for the carriers, but in retrospect, we probably didn't, because the linear thrust on levies is actually kind of crazy, and as long as you're bow on, you seem to be able to avoid a lot of gunfire, so I should have just, like, ran away.
No, that is true. I was very surprised about how little damage the levies were actually taking to those liners.
I was...
Like,
yeah,
they were fine. They were
I lost
okay.
2 of my deck gear lockers on one of the levies, which was a really big deal, because it halved my flight, like, arm time, but
the carrier was still functional.
It was still functional, yeah.
Well, like, I mean, even if you don't, like, divert the beam stones to help the carriers, you still need to divert the beam stones to kill the chargers, because otherwise I'm just gonna go around in the backline and farm beam DDs.
Yeah,
well,
and then,
you need to turn around for that, and like a single beam DD is not gonna cut it.
Right. A lot of the DDs were also pretty cringed to fit as many as you guys had. A lot of them didn't have point defense, which I'm sure Blackbat was very happy about at late game. Was able to just continuously strike them one by one.
Of our 13, or excuse me, not 13. Of our 11 beam destroyers, 8 of them had no PD.
Yeah, that was a weird comp.
It was a bad decision, but we wanted the points.
I mean, the comp was working. The comp was working up until Strubbus made their play over the top.
Yeah. Dude, Scrubbus was calling GG like the entire time he pushed over the top. He's like, oh, it's over. It's
Literal
over.
Malt
Dude-
Gambit. Malt
Dude
Gambit.
lost his
Like,
liner. I sold it, so it's GG.
mean,
We just
Yeah.
needed the second Malt Gambit. That's what
Scrubbers,
needed to
yeah,
happen.
Scrubbers did lose all their liners, but they took like 3 beamstones with them and made the rest of them leave their positions.
Yeah.
There was a fine DD I lost because there was like bombers coming in with our trees, and I thought it was fighters, so I did not task an appropriate amount of SDM.
Oh, I think I got a
We-
view of that
we-
one.
We did not have ID on those, so I thought it was fighters that we were loading, but they were not.
No, it was a
No
very
BD
good.
did it.
It was a very good series of matches.
Snipes, I'm curious what happened on the C engage on Yukon. Like, I had SDMs as well. I don't know if it was just like
Yeah,
get
Uh,
eaten.
I think.
Yeah, they got like 0 hits. I don't know what was
The-
I
the
think when the
s-
football gets that big, you're staging on just a bunch of random just chatter like everywhere.
That
like
could
Yeah,
also be it.
mostly.
Yeah, I'm very surprised
get
because in
command
that
SDMs.
massive engagement, I think that OSP's massive squadron of 28 only was reduced to 27. Like they only lost like
Yeah,
one craft in that.
I
entire
don't know
No,
thing.
how
I lost-
our
I-
ASF lost so bad anyway.
I
but-
lost maybe 8. I think I was down to 18 after that. I reinforced them.
Oh, that
No,
could be it.
yeah.
That could be it. Because yeah, no, that was a very low amount of losses for as many defenses that ANS had in that furball. That was very strange. I'm assuming it,
It
Well,
was.
was-
OSP just had more craft.
I'm assuming
It
it
was-
was the SDM staging into emptiness.
Yeah, when the furballs get that big, the SDMs just get confused, especially when there's
Right.
chaff in between the craft and the SDM coming in.
Yeah.
Normally there isn't.
Because they already have their chaff
Snipes.
pre-dumped because they're in a dogfight.
I'm looking
was-
at the engage list there. You lost like 2 or 3 kudas.
Did I? Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
out of
that's
28.
that's pretty consistent with what I saw. Also, there was a very epic moment where Big Milk spotted the fleet carrier on that third one, and I got really excited for a second, and then nothing happened, and I was very sad.
Was it on Viz? Or...
It was not on
You had me
Viz, but it was
tracked.
detected with a bunch of craft around it. Like, it was...
Yeah, but who thinks that the carrier's in the middle of the map?
Yeah,
Sounds
I was like,
It's a good place to put it.
that spotted it, and then I was
You
like,
did
I
vapor-
was
you-
searching the back line.
You did absolutely vaporize the rail cello, though. That
So
thing...
Snipes, can you tell us what was going on with Ruby Flight there at the tail end of that last game?
I have no idea what caused it. I noticed the thing was stuck on 10 meters a second. You know when craft like launch, they are on like that like hold pattern as they like launch off the carrier. It looked like the speed was locked for that flight, and I tried splitting the flight
Curious.
a few times, and it didn't. The only way I fixed it was when I RTB'd them.
Huh. That's interesting that happened because it was actually last night when these two teams played on the competitive server. We noticed that someone's squadron, despite being like in combat, was still listed as takeoff landing on their speed display for spectators. I don't know if that's related, but yeah, it looked like Ruby Squadron was just like, it looked almost like they were interacting with terrain that wasn't there. Like there was a
No,
wall
the-
preventing them
the
from getting
speed-
back to the carrier.
It was like the flight lead of Ruby was stuck on the takeoff animation or takeoff speed.
Huh. Well, we got it on recording. It's been recorded and it's noted that it happened. So hopefully the bug can be fixed and we can figure out whatever that was. That was a very curious thing.
Did you have coil tantos in that dogfight?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was microing them, but I think they just got evade locked just
Ah.
because of
Yeah,
the amount of
There's a
gun.
lot. There's just
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, we
definitely...
were discussing like having command versus act wake Nagis. I think command Nagis for that situation would have been a lot more reliable.
Yeah, they probably would have actually seen what they were being fired at.
Dude, the first match, so like when we were doing practice, I've run a lot of bombers, but it's always like super risky.
Right.
And in one of the practice matches, like the bomber wing like was able to kill Quiz's Moorline at like 10 minutes. And so our strategy there was
okay.
like this super risky thing of like, okay, we're not going to bring a carrier, and like we're going to try to get the more line, and otherwise like just defend with SDMs,
Right.
which is like extremely risky.
I noticed that Scrubbus's battleship lost that point defense escort very early on, which that sucks.
Yeah, the
Listen,
Pentabrick kit
when you
like
see-
landed
We saw
5
it.
bombshells.
We saw Sarissa, we're like, oh, just kill it.
Yeah, I should have held fire on that.
Yeah, that was a
Just
very
waited till
rough
I
thing
got
to
up
lose. You
close.
did have everyone in my chat was completely like baffled by the 57 SDMs you had in that battleship.
Well, I mean,
That's how you do it.
bring a
It
carrier.
wasn't
It
enough.
didn't save me.
Yeah,
either.
it worked.
You
It
live
worked
slightly longer.
It worked up until
Well, that's
you ran out of
that's Paralord,
SDMs.
isn't it? Oh, that's Dud's
No,
build.
that's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, it's like the same thing anyway.
Yeah, like we had
so many ways to
we had so many points in SDMs. I had 16. Flynn had like, how many did you have, Flynn?
28.
28. Scrubbus had 60. Duke had like 16 as well, and it didn't save us.
Yeah.
You know,
In all fairness, Snipes deployed their more line in that first one very high and on C side.
Yeah.
So yeah, your bombers were just completely unable to find it. And then
Well,
by the
Well,
time
he put the decoy like where he usually has more like.
decoy.
yeah, very
So
was
That was probably
Hunter.
Hunters.
That was her, yeah. Or
Hunt-
that would have been Xenos, right?
It was a hunter. He
But
sent
yeah,
one there.
I got a little too excited and I just sent the missiles before confirming what it was. So
Yeah, that obviously gave away
it's
that you had
hilarious
that.
though.
Yep,
We
and
played
yeah,
it early.
and then the monitors were just in between you and the carrier for that entire time. You can't really
Yeah.
deal with those.
Flynn,
I mean-
when you were pushing our backline on your left, my right side, your SDMs firing. We didn't know exactly where the spinners were. We knew they were somewhere there, but your SDMs gave it away.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah,
I
so,
pointed
like,
that out. I
I-
pointed that out in my stream
Yeah.
as well. That your SDMs were fired from
I
undetected.
I was
tracks
holding
low.
them, but I saw like a bunch of like I saw clear sight lines, so I was like, why not send it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was trying my best to stay on track, like setting the turrets off and all that. Whatever, it was fun.
Right.
The meat tugs were so painful on Gold Rush to play against because it was like you kind of need, if you want to beat them with Corvettes, you need torp Corvettes. So, but obviously I just had cringe cappers.
Right.
I mean,
Um,
Corvettes now are not
I-
that worth it. If
I
you
don't
get
even.
planes.
I don't even think Torp vets are good against them. You need hybrids because
Yeah.
they have the Pavis
Yeah.
on the side, and the Pavis. Every
Yeah.
time I played against Torp vets with those tugs, they still kill the Torps. So
Yeah, it was.
The thing against meat tugs is what you really want is 2 Corvettes, one of which has a jammer. Right? If you have a jammer, you just
Yeah. Yeah.
It still takes
You're
a lot of
doubling
time.
their price.
It's-
like
it's
you're
just-
doubling their price to
yeah.
beat them.
for
you,
sure.
you need
yeah.
twice their point investment in order to beat them. Really.
You're also just as vulnerable to plane, and it's double the price, the same spot.
Yeah.
Right.
Those
Like,
tugs are
And we
insanely
split
good.
CLs earlier.
Tugs
we
really
we
good.
miscalled on the opening because we saw a bunch of flares on the right side, which I later identified as just being your cap fleet because you spammed them all on one side. But
No, it was Pentabrick. But they just
but,
rotated.
Like
Yeah,
we
they
were initially going like C and then gonna move E later, but then we were like, oh well, there's so many flares there, we'll just not even bother with C, which was a massive miscall from our opening because like I could have denied C right from the start. That would have been a much better position.
It was really confusing because like you guys were low and then like pitched towards E. So like we had more than one time during the match a let's push C that then we like just backtracked and that ended up on a that happened a couple times. Just let's push and then no, it's not worth it because we have all the points. It's really fun first match.
Yeah, good games.
CC's tank so well.
Mhm.
The BB was
And
shooting them the entire time. Just
the thing I was confused about, I don't think I got shot more than like twice in either of those monitor matches. They just didn't shoot me.
Scrubbers mostly shot me, and the CLs were mostly out of range, like before getting fucked.
Well, the CLs don't want to take that engagement. 2 Acellos and a monitor ball. They are not going to win that one regardless of what they
No,
do.
for sure.
So I don't
But
think
when
they
they
ever really
did
committed
engage
to it.
when they did engage it, they were shooting the CCs instead of me. Which, like, if you have the broadside, yes, you should shoot the CC.
Right.
But if you don't, you need to shoot the monitors because the monitors will die. The CCs won't.
Right. 250 does not really do good against that angled armor.
Yeah, unless you catch them side on, in which case you instantly kill them. But...
Yeah, Balon CCs can like 1v2.
You can 1v2. Yeah.
Yeah. If not 1v3. I actually haven't
You
tried
can
that
bog
yet
them.
because of the jamming, but like I actually do think that you probably would be able to 1v3 with CC against
I don't know
Seagulls.
about killing all three. It depends like on what distance you start at. If you're closer, you can probably do it, but you can definitely bog them down for a long
right.
time, and it's 3k versus 1.5k.
And of course, like, in an
in
isolated
CCs
environment, they can split and just kill you because if
Yes.
if they're 90 degrees apart, you can't bow tank either of them, and then you die. But obviously, this real
It's
matches
never
are not
isolated.
isolated environments. So
Also, like those two CCs below D on Yukon. It's last match. Like once you get caught that close by CCs.
Yeah.
Sorry, the CL.
Duke
Is GG.
Duke kind of got pinned there and was unable to really open the range. They were kind of forced to engage at close blank range there, and they just got picked apart.
Closing distance with CCs closing distance with CLs and CCs. If you know you can do it, is a good play. You can do it.
Right.
Close, they can't dodge. They die quick.
Yeah.